Oh snap, we're live.
Yep.
Oh my god, is that what they sound like?
See, I just tend to mute the video, so.
Hello, everyone.
No.
Welcome back to an Unearthly podcast. I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks. We have had some delay, and we have done a bit of a cast swap for the moment, which we will discuss after the opening. But for now, we are here to talk about Destiny of the Doctor, Hunters of Earth. I guess so. First off, despite what the opening credits would tell you, Randy is not actually here right now. He will be back, but not in the near future. He had some personal issues, so we're going to be going on without him for a bit, and he'll be back as soon as he's able to.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the rumor mill has it that he might try to be back by next month sometime.
Yes. In the meantime, Mad Matt is here, as well as myself, the Man in Black, and we do have a new co-star. If you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Howdy, I'm Eli. I'll kind of just be in the corner, hugging my legs to my chest and just smiling along.
Want to tell everyone what your relationship with Doctor Who is?
I've really only watched the new series. This first audio series is the first I've really heard of any of the old Doctors. I haven't really looked into it at all. But am I talking too fast, by the way?
No, I'm picking you up fine.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I have a habit of doing that. But so before we even talked about this, I had to go look up what was happening to this point, what was going on with the Doctor in question, yada yada yada, because I didn't know anything about it.
Luckily, this is before the show actually starts, so it didn't need a ton of backstory, thankfully.
It didn't, but I saw this insert Doctor here, and I was like, oh, I need to go read.
Yeah. So, what was your first impressions of the first Doctor as a character?
Oh, the first Doctor? Completely different. Absolutely different than anything I've seen in David Tennant or Matt Smith. But it was,
which is why I'm actually excited for the next Doctor, because he's round about the same age as the first one.
Yeah, and he's going to be a lot less, sporadic, energetic, bouncing all over the place. As charming as I find that, it is a nice.
Which is funny, because when I think of Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, the first thing I think of is sporadic, energetic, and jumping all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Oh yeah, you watch
for the older
Man.
Doctors, oh yes.
He's the first really energetic Doctor, the second Doctor.
Oh my, Gideon, yes.
No, I am very interested in going back now, to see it after listening to this, because it seems, I always pictured in my head that the old Doctor Who would be all cheesy, well, it is cheesy and campy, but it would be all this, poor quality, middle school play stuff. And from the sounds of it, that is not the case.
Some of it is.
Is it really?
The budget was always crap. The writing, most of the time, is usually able to pull it out of that.
Yes. Usually, if nothing else, the writing
and of course, the lead actors. I mean, say what you want about the supporting cast, the leads are usually well chosen.
Yes.
The Doctors themselves?
Doctors themselves and their companions.
One of them is the granddaughter of the Doctor?
Yes, the first one that we are going to actually talk about today.
Yep.
Susan.
And actually,
that blew my mind.
That brings us right into if Matt, did you want to go ahead and give some background on the first Doctor in general?
Oh, me? Off the top of my head? Okay.
You're putting you on the spot, buddy.
Put me on the spot. Okay. Well, I have happened to have watched almost all the available First Doctor, so I
That's
know
a bit
something
more
of
than I
it.
have then.
Is there a whole lot available?
I think there's only like maybe a handful of episodes that are missing.
So,
Whereas
yeah,
the second Doctor, there's huge chunks of stuff missing.
it's basically seasons 3 and 4, I believe, that are missing. Was it 3, 4, and 5 that have a lot of missing chunks?
Do we know why?
Which is the last season and a half of the First Doctor and the first season and a half of the Second Doctor, basically.
So
and
why
the
were
reason
they
why,
lost?
and since you asked, the reason why that happened is because BBC was essentially shooting video copies over to the United States for us to air on public television.
Right.
And they figured since they were giving us copies that, well, if we really want them back, all we have to do is ask them, so let's torch the copies that we have right now because we don't have storage space for it.
There was also...
I really hope that's not how that
yeah,
meeting went down.
That's how it did go down, and that's why most of it is missing.
Part, but there's basically a lot of... It was more treated like a live thing than it is now, so basically the idea of reruns wasn't really something they were a huge fan of. They paid the Doctor as though it were a brand new episode. They paid the actors as though they were shooting a brand new episode, even if they aired a rerun. So
that's how things ran back in the 60s, yeah.
Yeah, so basically they did not bother keeping the archive footage and just burned it.
Oh, they didn't think they were going to... Okay, I can understand that, but the way that Matt described it, they were just like, screw it.
The VCR had not yet been invented, so it wasn't like they were going to distribute them in any way.
Okay, see, that sounds a little more logical. No offense, Matt.
But but the thing on the VC's end is that they had no storage space for this, since they didn't realize that this was going to be reusable stuff. So they just went, well, we got copies that we sent to the United States, let's just get rid of these useless copies we have sitting around that we need more storage space for other new things now. And torched them. But at the same time, there's a lot of people at the BBC who were sent to get rid of these copies and kind of went, you know what, I really like that episode, I remember that episode, yoink. You know?
Yeah, I get you.
And while, yes, the VCR was not a thing yet, I do recall that there were tiny pockets of people here and there who still managed to make their own video recorders, if you will.
Yeah, there were a good amount of people that recorded with a photo camera and a microphone, to basically, which is why all of the lost episodes exist in some form, because audio recordings and photographs are still around.
Right.
There wasn't really a home video type of thing going on.
Man, I can't even grasp that. Like, my brain will not process that kind of living where I could not just pop in a movie that I enjoyed.
But yeah, but backtracking now to talking about the First Doctor. The First Doctor started off, well, he was a grumpy old man to really begin with. It wasn't until like the end of his first season and the start of the next one that we slowly peeled back the grumpy old man and kind of came to a more grandfather type figure, and it helped that we also had Susan there yet. So there's at least someone he was generally nice to all the time. Even though she got him pissed off once in a while too.
Yeah. For people who've been listening a while, during our top episodes per Doctor, we pretty much largely agreed on the Dalek invasion of Earth. One reason for that is basically that is the episode where the Doctor became the Doctor as we know him now, in terms of being the heroic character rather than just someone trying to get out of the situation and get his own way.
So why was he exploring?
The reason why
there were numerous reasons to begin with.
There were, but the main thing was that they were technically in exile from their planet because, well, he stole the TARDIS, for a start. It was essentially in dry dock, and they were actually possibly planning to scrap it.
Huh.
is when he first got the TARDIS.
That much was not yet known by the writing team. The part that was known was that he was in exile from his people for some reason.
Yes. It was slowly further fleshed out as we went through some of the other Doctors. I think they actually kind of fleshed out the fact that he was an alien by the time they hit the second Doctor, and they fleshed out who his people were by the time we were hitting the third
because
Doctor.
Patrick Troughton's first serial is when they established that he's over 400 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that put him at now?
Over 900.
Basically, wait, by now do you mean in Hunters of Earth or in the show?
In Hunters of Earth.
Oh, Hunters of Earth?
In Hunters of Earth, he's basically in his 440s, because the thing is, with first Doctor seasons, he generally has a companion with him at all times, so there's not a lot of time for huge amounts of aging. Like, he might go a few months at a time between episodes, but generally it's pretty linear.
Yes.
Okay, so it's pretty easy to follow.
Yes.
Right.
Sweet, okay.
Yes, the first and second Doctors in particular were very easy to follow until this last season of the second Doctor. Then things kind of get a little crazy.
And that was retconned anyway, because it was very simple until they introduced the specials.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of craziness there. But yes, essentially the first...
Craziness in Doctor Who?
So when we first meet the first Doctor, he has his granddaughter, Susan. She goes by the name of Susan Foreman. We're not sure what their real family name is. Of course, we're never told. That would be ruining the mystery.
And I'm pretty sure the episode kind of indicates, I think, that Foreman basically just comes from a sign in the junkyard.
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm.
And while they're visiting Earth, they do. I think they, from this episode, from Hunters of Earth, they go to a different time, slightly, like, say a decade or so ahead of where they were in Hunters of Earth.
Where do you get that? Where do you get that from?
Well, as far as I'm aware, the original series was taking place in modern time.
Yes, 1963.
And whereas this, I thought, was somewhere in the 50s.
No, because here they're even saying it's the 60s, while the Beatles are becoming popular, but before Woodstock. So that would put it at right about the same time.
So the people were getting high in their own basements
maybe that's
instead of together.
Maybe I guess that must have just been me, but I could have sworn there was a bigger time gap there.
You know what, Matt? You live in your own reality, man. We ain't gonna tell you what's what.
But while they're still in Britain, but either way, they're still in Britain in the first episode, and that's when Susan's teachers start getting involved with things. Mm-hmm. Both Ian and Barbara are their names, and they decide Susan is such an odd girl that they decide to follow her and figure out where she's living and possibly talk to an adult. To which they follow her into the junkyard. They don't know where she disappeared to, but they do see a police box, and they're just like, well, that's a little odd. Start to leave, and then they bump into the Doctor.
Okay.
Things get complicated as they also hear Susan inside the police box just before leaving. They barge into the police box with the Doctor, and they, well, figure on the inside. They try to talk Susan into coming back with them and getting her safely away from the place, whereas the Doctor's just like, screw this, locks the doors, starts up the time machine, and away we go.
I like that summary.
And I believe after that point, first of all, the chameleon circuit in the TARDIS stopped working, so it never turned away from being a police call box. And also, the Doctor doesn't quite seem to know how to get precise time and coordinates right a lot of the time.
And part of that is because, well, as you would know from listening to this, the TARDIS is not working properly. He's performing repairs on it. We found out in Name of the Doctor that it was stolen from a repair shop and was faulty to begin with. Yeah. I was curious about that, and that never even occurred to me. Yeah. So basically, I mean, throughout the show's history, there will be different reasons why they can't control it. And of course, there are a few recurring ones, but part of it to begin with is simply that none of its mechanisms are performing properly. The Doctor is performing repairs. We actually see this sporadically all the way through season 3. We see the Doctor performing repairs on the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm. Performing repairs or tweaking something else over here or over there,
yeah.
and so on.
Maintenance is happening. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
but I would also argue that it's also the TARDIS going, no, I'm going to take you over here.
It's
that is one of the recurring things, because as we discovered during the... Is it the third serial, correct? Yeah, Daleks is first. So, in the third serial here, and of course it recurs later on in the Matt Smith era, we see that the Doctor is fully aware of its surroundings. It knows what it needs, and
the TARDIS
is sentient in and of itself.
Doctor.
I would hope the Doctor is fully aware.
Oh, sorry.
I'm very sure the Doctor is, yes.
The TARDIS is a fully sentient being, aware of its surroundings, and capable of controlling where it goes and does not go.
Yeah, that's a big point in the I think it's the second series with Matt Smith, and the TARDIS gets a human form.
Yes.
And
Dr.
he's like,
White,
you're never taking me where I want to go. And she's like, I'm taking you where you need to be.
To which we clap, because that's Neil Gaiman at his finest right there.
Neil Gaiman is in my opinion, the best writer on the Doctor Who circuit.
Lately, yes.
Arguably, it is the TARDIS that made the Doctor into a hero more than the Doctor's choice himself.
Why does he even need the sonic screwdriver anymore?
Because he needs to bust open a lock now and again.
The abilities of that sonic screwdriver just baffle me. Because at some point he can lift a wall with it.
We could go on for hours about what we think of the modern sonic screwdriver. My God.
He didn't lift a wall with the screwdriver. He activated controls that would normally be activated by singing. So it's not quite a tractor beam. But anyway, that's
another story.
You're jumping ahead about 50 years into the future from what we're discussing right now. So let's.
Well, this would be the subject to do that in. Sorry, go as you guys you want to mess around.
But anything else you want to say about the first Doctor before we go on to Big Finish and what exactly is going on with that?
Well, I've kind of covered the necessaries, other than the fact that eventually he did leave Susan behind, and he did eventually get Ian and Barbara back home. He would pick up occasional other companions and then eventually leave them back at home again as well, after a period of time. And I believe he did end with just 2 companions. Yeah.
He's faring better than David Tennant does.
Most of the time he had 2 at a time.
Yeah, throughout most of it he had 2 at a time, except for, I think, Dodo.
No, when he had Dodo, it was just Dodo and Steven.
Then they left Steven for a while, though, too, at least for one story.
That's what I'm saying. At any given time, it was generally 2 at a time. The most he ever had was 3, and once Ian and Barbara left, it was not 3 again that I'm aware of.
Well, technically, the War Machines, when he got the 2 new companions, he still had Dodo, but Dodo dropped off halfway.
I was saying, but you can if you count transitional episodes, it gets really wonky with every Doctor. So that's
fights.
So with Hunters of Earth, let me go into a little bit of backstory about the company here. We haven't really touched on the audio dramas for obvious reasons. They're a bit more expensive than turning on your television, so we haven't had access to a ton of them. I've gone ahead and subscribed our podcast to Destiny of the Doctor, a series released by Big Finish. So these will be the episodes we'll be covering over the next several months. Big Finish, in 1999, got the license to produce audio dramas for Doctor Who. At the time, the show was off air, and this was really the only way to get the Doctor Who outside of text form. So over time, they picked up first. Originally, it was the 5th, then the 6th and 7th Doctors, and for a while, they were where the 8th Doctor really got his quote-unquote televised run through audio dramas.
Now still doing them, so all the power to them.
Yep.
Good on them.
Within the past several years, Tom Baker joined on as well, which was a big event. Obviously, he was a very popular doctor who they'd been trying to get for a while.
And he finally just said, "Oh, hell of it, yeah."
I'm not making any money anywhere else.
Of course, there are several doctors they never could get by reasons of exhumation orders are very difficult to get, and they couldn't do much acting if that were to happen anyway. So they were introduced to a series known as the Companion Chronicles, which is essentially the actor who played the companion would come back and would narrate the adventure. So rather than actually having an actor play the doctor, their words would simply be narrated by their companion. Picture essentially if Rose Tyler went on and told an autobiographer about her adventures with David Tennant instead of actually having Tennant in the room, that type of deal. So that is how the first, second, and third Doctors would be introduced to Doctor Who.
That is really neat.
Which, the only downside to that is that it essentially comes off as more of an audiobook than an actual radio or television drama would be.
Well, that's kind of the time. That's kind of the time, isn't it?
I do kind of hope that in the future they do find somebody to replicate Hartnell's voice or...
I was actually hoping for that when we came into this, but yeah.
Oh, is it not similar?
What do you mean?
Is it not... I haven't heard the first Doctor aside from this story.
But the first Doctor is a man, and this was narrated by a woman, so
She got some of the
I think I misunderstood
right?
you entirely. Never mind, as you were.
Okay. Well, generally the audio dramas are, imagine if you turned on a television episode and were able to follow the story with your eyes closed. That's what a normal Big Finish audio drama would be like. Whereas this is essentially more of an audiobook narrated by his granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, this is Carol Ann Ford, who comes back and does pretty much everything except for the one-time companion's voice, which is generally the deal with Companion Chronicles. They generally have a guest who plays the guest star. In this case, he plays what's the kid's name? I have it minimized.
The guy that really
he comes back and plays Cedric, and everything else is voiced by Carol Ann Ford, which is generally the style of the Companion Chronicles. Now, Destiny of the Doctor was a series that was essentially created for the 50th anniversary, and it's kind of a big deal because I don't know if this is because of Audio Go or because of some other special deal, but for the first time they're going to have the rights to do adventures based off the new series. So this means we're going to have a 9th Doctor episode, probably the first one since 2006. As well as a 10th Doctor a 10th Doctor adventure and an 11th Doctor one as well. So these are all kind of a big deal in that regard. Although the adventures themselves, I'm not entirely certain as to the details. This might be an Audio Go thing or might have just been a decision for the series. Are a bit shorter than your average Big Finish adventure, as well as a bit shorter than your average First Doctor adventure, which was generally 2 to 3 hours, whereas this is 70 minutes.
Which I'm perfectly fine with, by the way. It fits the format.
It's not bad. Definitely. And the only First Doctor adventure that's actually shorter than this is, and of course, as I go to say it, I blank on the name, as I always do. Help me, Matt.
Vamp.
I don't know what you were going to mention.
You don't know the only two episode First Doctor serial?
The Tribe of Gum?
Right?
The Tribe of Gum?
That was a 4-parter. Edge of Destruction, am I saying that right?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The technically second one, although it's the third one to have its own title. It's weird because Unearthly Child and the Cavemen were kind of the same serial.
They were the same
both
serial.
Named differently.
They're not. They're only named differently because we as fans say that we have a good episode and a bad serial and treat them as separate entities. They are one serial. we as fans and as a group discussing it tend to treat it as separately. They are a single serial. Their novelization is as one adventure, and they're generally treated as a single adventure. If Tribe of Gum had been a better serial, nobody would make that distinction.
Maybe. Maybe.
Also, if they could have made a better name for it.
Yeah, again, the reason why people tend to call
it has about 7 names. Tribe of Gum is simply the easiest name to call it.
Oh, really? If that's the easiest, my lord.
There's like something DC, Tribe of Gum, Caveman, and there's like another name or two for it too, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, some people call it An Unearthly Child, which would make sense, except that BBC has flat out said that's not the name of the serial, don't call it that.
Well, Smeg them, we're just going to call the first episode that then. So that's pretty much given the backstory of Destiny of the Doctor there. Did I leave anything out? I know we kind of went off topic a couple of times. It happens.
Yeah. So I don't know much about Audio Go other than that they do audiobooks. If either of you knows more than that, feel free to speak up. Okay, that's what I thought. So here we go into Hunters of Earth, which is essentially a companion Chronicles episode, except special because it's part of our 50th anniversary celebration. This takes place in the East End of London. Within the week leading up to An Unearthly Child, they actually mentioned in the episode that they're going to be, I think, what did they say, leaving next Tuesday? Which pretty much tells you An Unearthly Child happens by Tuesday.
I guess.
The Doctor has been stealing parts needed to make repairs to the TARDIS, at which point Susan convinces him to go and buy them legally instead. He hasn't wanted to because he was afraid it would draw attention to himself. During this conversation, the Doctor and Susan discover that one of Susan's teachers has been following them, and then he goes off on his own. The next morning, Susan is speaking with her school friend by the name of Cedric, and they're, again, unaware that they're being stalked by the same teacher. They go to a popular hangout spot along with some of Cedric's friends and some locals where the owner, by the name of Rose, describes some trouble that various immigrants in town have been having over the past few months, which are coincidentally since the Doctor and Susan arrived 4 months ago. When Rose changes the station on the radio to a more modern station where the Beatles are playing, Susan develops a migraine, and one of Cedric's friends starts to become violent towards Susan. When the radio is turned off, she stops with no memory of what has happened. The Doctor arrives to tell Susan that he will be busy this evening, and a message over the radio claiming to be from the Doctor begins to play, with references to the 60s, things that are going to happen within the 60s, and to tell Cedric that it's all in the beat. Cedric wants to walk Susan home, which is wisely vetoed by the Doctor. The Doctor then visits Magpie Electricals, which is apparently the only electronics store either in Britain or on Gallifrey, and buys some components for the TARDIS, thanks to Susan convincing him to buy them legally. The Doctor is then accosted by some local youths who suddenly change their minds, and the Doctor and Susan then find graffiti demanding aliens out. Susan and the Doctor are again accosted by a large group of locals who suddenly stop and leave. When the Doctor returns to pick up his parts, Magpie Electricals has changed drastically, as has the proprietor, Bernie, with no explanation, and the Doctor is taken captive by Susan's teacher, who claims to know that the Doctor is from outer space and demands his assistance in a war against an enemy who is doing psychic experiments. They are interrupted by Susan and Cedric, who are escaping a riot. Together, they work out that the youth of the town are being influenced by something sent through the radio waves being transmitted by a German bomb that was trapped in rubble during the Blitz, which was taken down earlier that year and amplified by the Beatles' music over the radio being played in public places. The signal was causing them to hate anyone who wasn't local. Susan held them off with her own psychic abilities, which had shielded her from the signal, thus far causing her to have migraines instead of being controlled, until the Doctor could complete a countersignal. Note that he did not have the ability to transmit it over the sonic screwdriver as he would have in the new series. Had to add that.
He didn't have a sonic screwdriver.
This is true. It would not be introduced in several more seasons.
Yep.
The groups say their goodbyes and agree to let well enough be and leave one another alone, and the episode ends.
Can I just take a second to say that I've listened to quite a few, not really the radio drama this is going for, but audiobooks, and this was betterly, that's a word. This was more well done than any of the other ones I've heard. Just the audio quality and that she's not boring while she's narrating.
Yeah, she's actually a decent actress from what I recall, and she still does things periodically, and Bill will be right back. I actually do have Sixth Doctor audio adventure that's done to fan-made images that's on DVD.
Hello?
What? Hello? What's going on? Did we lose him? No? He's still there, apparently. Hello? Hello? Nope, he went through. But as I was saying, while we wait for him to come back, everyone's gone. Yay, I'm holding the podcast by myself. The audio adventure I have is actually a Sixth Doctor one, and I generally quite liked it. There was narration, there's actually the Sixth Doctor there, and all of the characters actually had voices on that one particular one, and I think maybe it was a, what are they called? Big Finish audio, but I cannot be certain. I think it was more or less a fan-made thing. And I hear you, Bill. Bill's coming back, I think. What? But yeah, I quite like that DVD that I have of it. It's alright. They definitely had some really good imagery, all considering. But like most audio things, though, too, I tend to believe that it's mostly a if when you're in the mood sort of thing. Because I'm very much a visual person. Don't get me wrong. If I can get in the right mindset, I can totally enjoy any kind of audio-only thing. But I am very much a visual medium guy myself, so it kind of.
I'm so sorry about that. I'm back.
And there he is. But as I was saying before you disappeared, I do have a Sixth Doctor adventure, which I believe is technically a Big Finish audio, but they put it to pictures, and somehow I managed to get a DVD of it.
Okay.
Not bad.
And it was a Cyberman episode, so it's an even bigger bonus to me.
So Cyberman ranks high with you, huh?
Oh yeah. I enjoy a good Cyberman, especially since I'm still piecing together a costume.
Dude. Sorry, we're off subject again. We're bad at that.
No, we're talking about Doctor Who. We're kind of on subject. We just had people pop up all of a sudden, and I tried to keep the air from dying.
You gotta vamp.
But, so I've only experienced really only one other Doctor Who audio before this, and it was done to pictures on a DVD, so.
I have listened to a bunch of audio stuff. I have the audio stuff. That was great too. I'm doing a bunch of winners today. But I have the Game of Thrones audio series. Can't stand them. And this one is just, it has some really high quality stuff in it. Like, you don't hear like this clarity in the voice, like this good a voice actress.
And this is nothing when you get to Big Finish stuff. Like generally, I mean this. I don't know if it's because this is what they're going with the series, or just because this is one of the ones featuring a dead doctor. Pardon my bluntness there, but
you monster.
When you get to the ones that are actually, featuring a full cast, it is very much as if you were simply watching an episode on the show that you were able to follow with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
And they do a remarkable job of doing things where there could certainly be visuals, but you certainly would not rely on the visuals being there.
Do we know who's writing these? Like, do you know the writer of these?
Let me pull up the writer of this.
Not off the top of our head, but I do know for a fact that a lot of the Big Finish guys were during Russell T Davies' era also writers.
Yeah, that's why. That's why right there.
Nicholas Briggs is also a prominent writer who you might know him as the voice that says "exterminate."
Never heard it before. Never heard it before. What are you talking about? Exterminate. Not bringing anything to mind. But
he's also been known to play Cybermen and God damn it, Ice Warriors in the new show.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that guy just like basically owns Doctor Who, doesn't he?
Yeah, and we kind of cringe once in a while though too, because it's starting to sound samey. Except for the Ice Warrior. The Ice Warrior they did a hell of a job with.
Oh, I really hope they explore the Ice Warriors. I enjoyed that so much.
This was written by Nigel Robinson. Let me see if he's written anything else. He wrote several of the Target novelizations.
Cool.
The Centurites, The Time Meddler, Edge of Destruction, and The Underwater Menace. He's written some Virgin New Adventures, some short stories, and he's written some companion chronicles. So as far as Big Finish work, he's done The Stealers from Safe and The Emperor of Eternity, which would have been very largely in this format because they were companion chronicles.
Yep. So he's already has hands on some pretty decent stuff then.
Yeah. So he's apparently done. Well, you can tell by the Target novelizations I described, largely a First Doctor guy. But Virgin New Adventures, so that would be either 7th or 8th Doctor, I think. I'm getting that right. And let me see what his companion chronicles, which Doctors they were.
That guy, he has a remarkable talent because he's descriptive, but he's not descriptive to the point of it being obnoxious.
Yeah.
Which is a delicate balance when you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to get across the things you're describing, but you don't want to, like, for instance, in the Bourne books, the Bourne whatevers, like he gets to the point where he's describing hair follicles on the character's hands, and I think that's the point of obnoxiousness.
Yeah, you can do that in text. You can't really do that in audio because you're trying to describe the way things are going live. It's basically a play. The companion chronicles he's done so far, one was for the 2nd Doctor, one was for the 4th, and his 2 Virgin New Adventures were for the 7th. So he's written for the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 7th Doctors so far, although he's done a bit more for the 1st than the others.
Okay, I'm going to have to... Now that y'all got me into this one, I'm really interested in those other ones, because I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, I have to admit, once I finally got to sit down with this thing, I just right through it.
Yeah, I absorbed it. I expected it to be a complete drag. I just sat down, I was like...
I was actually half expecting that too, and I'm just like, next, keep going.
Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go. And then I turn it on, and I'm just like, this has no business being this high quality. This has no business being this good.
Well, then again, it's also the anniversary thing, so they better damn well keep us interested.
That's true.
Oh no, this isn't anything that special for Big Finish anyway. I'm kind of expecting a jump in quality when we get to the Living Doctors. When we get to I think Battlesphere is the one with Tom Baker.
Yep.
I'm kind of expecting the quality to jump when we get to that up to full cast stuff. In which case, if this is impressive to you, you'll really be blown away when that happens.
Yeah, this really was impressive to
me.
Oh,
actually, I might be wrong.
Zero expectations. I'm sorry,
I might be wrong because looking at the image Matt has in chat, Battlesphere does not have Tom Baker listed in the credits, so they might be doing the whole thing in audiobook format.
Dang.
Which is still good. I mean, it's still what we have now, but that means it would not quite be what I was hoping for with some of their other dramas.
Oh.
Oh well, I mean it's still something. I'm not gonna down it.
Knife Doctor does not have Knife Doctor in it.
I wouldn't have expected that. We would have heard about it probably.
Oh yeah, my friends love Chris. How the hell do you pronounce it?
Eccleston?
For some reason, I always get that. I'm terrible with last names. Like, my brain just goes complete derp when I try to do last names.
Yeah, it's all going to be like only 2 people voicing the whole thing. 2 or 3 people. All of them. I expected more than this.
Keep your expectations low, sir.
It's the 50th anniversary. You'd think they'd put more effort into it.
That said, when we do the actual 50th anniversary Big Finish special, because I did pre-order that as well, so we can do that. That one will be full cast, and it will feature the 5 surviving classic Who Doctors, in addition to any other characters that appear.
Okay, so at least that one will be really good, but I'm still disappointed that none of these are going to have any of the actual Doctor's voices.
But the rest will be crap. The rest is just crap.
Well, I'm not saying it's going to be outright crap, but I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, they're
more.
Right.
Well, I mean, Chris Eccleston wouldn't even come back for the Doctor Who, for the 50th anniversary coming up in November.
He's been constantly back and forth on that.
He said he would come back if there was a good script, but for some reason we have a head writer who can't focus on one show at a time or even one franchise at a time. So we didn't really expect there to be a good enough script for him to come back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, do y'all believe that's why he's so sporadic with his storytelling?
I believe the man has his attention split too much, which is a major hindrance to the show right now.
Well, there was that one episode where Sherlock ended up on the TARDIS, but I don't think he's all over the place at all. That was a dumb
You and your
joke.
sarcasm. You and your sarcasm, good sir, can go jump a ship.
But my girlfriend is going to eat that up. She's of the same opinion. And we've just met roadblock after roadblock with Doctor Who fans trying to tell them this is not good.
No, there's been you have not listened to this podcast, good sir. We had a top, I think, what was it, 10 or 11 worst episodes of all time.
And all of them were Matt Smith.
And most of them have been from the last couple of years.
Yeah, there were 9 nominations. I believe 6 of them were in the Moffat era.
God.
Yeah, a good half of that list was Moffat, and it's
now,
just like, oh.
Now, part of that was because 3 of the nominations were based on the lowest rated ones from the podcast, which has largely been 11th Doctor episodes. So there is that, but that's still 3 of the 6 nominations from his era. So 3 nominations were legit from his era. 3 were split between the 1st and 6th Doctor eras, and then 3 were the podcast choosing low-rated ones from his era.
That really kind of hurts to think about. Stephen Moffat, I believe he's the one who did Silence in the Library, right?
Yes, he did. And yep. I'm in the minority in that I couldn't stand that episode in the first place. Ever since the first time River opened her mouth in that episode, I couldn't stand the episode.
Oh, I thought she had a lot of promise, but
after
that they just completely shot in the foot.
I didn't like the way she was dumping on Tennant's doctor.
Well, damn it, you have a point.
I don't really call it dumping per se, but
I would call it humping with her eyes.
No, she was basically telling him that he was crap and Matt Smith was the only good doctor.
Where's the good you? Where's the you I want to see? Yeah, I could see it. But whenever I have somebody and I'm like, I really like the show, it's called Doctor Who. If you want to give it a shot, try this episode. And I usually go with Silence in the Libraries, or and now I'm blanking on the name, but it's the episode in the Matt Smith era with the current era, I guess I should say, where he goes to Earth and damn it, what's the name of it?
He spends most of that era on Earth.
I know, that didn't help me at all, did it?
Nope. He goes to Earth.
And that guy at the bar at his shop. He goes to that guy and he's living in his flat as a roommate.
Oh. That's one of the episodes of this. That's from that one half of the season that I don't want to see. One of the few good things that happened while I wasn't looking.
Huh?
I'd say it's one of the only episodes where I thought Matt Smith really pulled off the charismatic character he was trying to be.
The one with the Cybermen, right?
No,
yes.
I think he's talking about the
I'm talking about the one with Cybermen.
He's talking about the one with the Cybermen. That's the half the season I didn't watch.
Okay, you're talking Closing Time. I thought you were talking about The Lodger.
No. I really thought that the character that I thought they were trying to represent as the 11th Doctor, that episode really solidified him. Like the 11th Hour, he was David Tennant and he was Christopher Eccleston's Doctor. But I thought around that time he really solidified himself as a different sort.
And then they completely dumped it.
Yes, immediately afterwards.
Which is even more reason why I want to see it, but at the same time I'm worried about seeing it and then looking at the rest of the franchise going, oh, fuck you.
No, you should really skip. You should just skip. Pretend it isn't there.
Well, I already pretend that half of the season isn't there because it's the Adventures of River Song. It's not fucking Doctor Who anymore at that point.
Thank you. And I really think they did themselves a disservice starting River Song at her end.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that they made her such a fucking Mary Sue.
It's more just the way the character was written, but...
Well, that's another problem I have with her. What I mean is that they could have gone many different ways with her, but they set themselves on this path. This is where it ends. This is what she is at the end. And is no different than where she starts.
But showing her last adventure doesn't really restrict the character because the journey is more important than the destination there. But
not to me, buddy. Not to me. That lost logic can eat me.
So are you saying that knowing what the 11th Doctor is like ruins this first Doctor adventure for you then?
I wouldn't say it ruins, but I think it dampens it because I can see there's in my head it's a real character, like a real person. And he turns into this. It's this sappy guy he's basically fighting off aliens with a box of tissues. I don't like it.
Well, wait till we get to the second Doctor, where he's fighting off a bunch of aliens that are made out of tinfoil.
Excellent. That's what I want to see.
It's actually been a running gag now since they did a parody of the Doctor during Christmas time. All of a sudden you see like the 7th Doctor chasing the 2nd Doctor with a bit of tinfoil. Woo! Woo! And the 2nd Doctor's running down the hall.
Please tell me that's not a real thing.
It's a parody thing.
Oh, okay, thank God.
Again, it's a parody thing.
That they did, like the...
I think it was the first Christmas we had David Tennant.
I'm sorry, Bill, what were you saying?
Since you guys don't seem to have too much to say about Hunters of Earth, I want to know what you guys think of the larger implications of the story, this hidden enemy with the psychic experiments, and clearly the 11th Doctor visiting the radio station to leave a message for his earlier self.
I haven't gotten, I've only watched, or listened rather, to the first one, and it sounds like
I'm just saying the implications of this story, because I don't know where they're leading either. I'm just wondering what you guys think of the implications that this story gives.
I would almost argue, what do you mean it's the 11th Doctor? How do you know that for a fact? But then I stop for a moment and think, he is the only one that would do a zany message like that, other than maybe the 6th Doctor.
He's clearly the 10th or 11th Doctor, because they're the only ones who would walk into the radio station like, "Hello, 60s, Flower Power, Woodstock, yada yada. That's clearly either Tennant or Smith.
I would say
They're the only ones that
I would argue that it could also have been Colin Baker because he wasn't always there mentally in his run, but yeah.
I mean, you've seen more Baker than I am, but from my experience, he doesn't talk that way.
I think it
depends, as long as it's not like his early part of the season.
I hope it's not. Because I'm in the minority with this, but I don't like the Ninth Doctor. And when I heard that, it struck me as something the Ninth Doctor would do when he entered a room.
You mean the 10th?
No, I mean the 9th, Chris Eccleston.
No, it didn't strike me as Chris Eccleston.
I don't really see that. That's why I almost said any New Who Doctor, but it doesn't seem like...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Eccleston's thing.
Eccleston was more down to business. He wasn't really as interested in socializing as Tennant or Smith.
I guess. I'll just let that one go.
I mean, yeah, he would walk into the place and kind of describe stuff to his companions, but he wouldn't be shouting that stuff off to people right in their faces.
I'll give you that.
Whereas Tennant and Matt Smith, oh yeah, they would do that. They'd do something completely
Let's have 3 pages of dialogue about the objects in your room. Sorry.
And look at me, I'm wearing a vegetable.
Fezzes are cool.
Takes a real man to wear a stick of celery.
That was my favorite. I love that.
Well, I had to laugh. Actually, this is kind of off topic, but I was just watching some random.
No, Bill, stay on topic. No.
There were some clips of David Tennant on talk shows, and there was one where I guess they were all wearing corsages, but just the angle of the camera made it look like they were all wearing celery, and I kind of cracked up at that.
I haven't seen that one. You're going to have to show that to me later. I eat that shit up, so...
But back to the actual episode. Hunters of Earth? Yeah. But as much as I want to complain because there's not enough voice actors, at the same time, the minimalist approach actually kind of worked in its favor, to be honest. Because, she... Get a closer picture again. Carol Ann, she did a damn good job on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. And I'm thinking it's a budget thing, probably. They couldn't afford to bring in any more voices that would sound at all similar to... God. You just showed my face on the internet. Oh, that's going to haunt my self-esteem.
The Companion Chronicles generally follows that format anyway, largely because... if you have to have one person speaking in the place of another, I guess they'd rather just have a narrator in the form of a companion. There's also the fact that this is co-produced with an audiobook company, so that might also be their preferred format as well, just to have 1 or 2 actors.
I guess.
Yeah, because I was pondering it as to why they were doing it, and I just concluded it must have been a budget thing, because they could have done more, I think. But I love what they did. I'm just saying.
By no means what they did was bad at all.
They can usually pull off a ton. They do really great on a budget.
Yeah, by no means even if it was budgetary kind of a thing, by no means was it a bad idea to do it this way.
Oh, I am not complaining
because even with the limited amount of voices, they still had a lot of sound effects and background voice work too. Because when that crowd is chasing after Susan, you can feel the intensity of them running.
Oh, my heart was racing. Dude.
Yeah.
You could.
I've got to say, with all the Doctor Who alumni, Carol Ann Ford, along with all the others, everybody who's returned for Big Finish that I've heard so far has done a phenomenal job, and you can tell they're not just doing this for the money. They're doing this because they love Doctor Who and they love coming back and everything else.
Well, the fact that Big Finish has essentially made the Sixth Doctor into a new phenomenon in of itself.
It's not so much a phenomenon so much as they show what he could have been in the 80s because he's they just write him as good as they write Davison, as good as they write McCoy, as well as they write Baker.
That's fine.
They write him as the Doctor.
They do as much effort to make him the way he should have been as they do anyone else who was already a perfected, decent doctor.
Right, exactly. They write him the way that John Nathan Turner should have had him written in the first place.
Yes.
I can't really offer too much insight into that. I'm sorry to say.
How to put this to you then? The Sixth Doctor was so bad that his second season, was it? They had Trial of the Time Lord, which was equal parts trial by BBC as well as trial by fans, as to whether or not they wanted to stay with this Doctor anymore.
Right.
Basically, he was sabotaged. He was sabotaged in his first episode. He was sabotaged in his second season, which never happened. He was sabotaged in his third season, and then he was sabotaged in his fourth season by being canned before being able to come back for the episode.
And then
asked him
to give him much of a chance.
And he said no.
Yeah, essentially they did not give Colin Baker a chance in hell to actually be the Doctor he should have been.
And then the fans blamed him for some reason.
Yeah, I think the reason why fans blamed him back then is because we literally knew nothing of what the hell was going on in the background.
So what y'all are saying is that there were irrational fanboys?
There were irrational fanboys, but there was also a bunch of douchebags in the BBC at the time.
What? No way. Douchebags. Ugh. So glad we live in this time without any of those now.
Your sarcasm is noted yet again.
One comment I wanted to make about this, I'm pretty sure the guy who played Cedric, he played a little boy, I believe, in the other serial that takes place a week later, and I'm not talking about An Unearthly Child, I'm talking about Remembrance of the Daleks, which is essentially a sequel to An Unearthly Child in the sense that it takes place at the same school during the same time period with a different doctor coming back to get something that he had left. And it's just interesting that this actor who played he was uncredited at the time. I'm pretty sure he played just like a boy that lived there. And he just happens to come back. It's a completely unrelated character, but he comes back for this special, which I think is kind of cool.
Tom Williams?
Is that his name?
Next to Caroline Ford, yeah.
So was it just kind of a, hey guys, it's me again, bye, sort of deal?
Let me make sure that I'm talking about the right person while I'm saying this, but I'm pretty sure.
Let me make sure.
Performed by Caroline Ford and Tom Williams.
This is something that I noticed like a month ago, which is why I'm saying it now. Yes, Tam Williams. He played...
Tam? Oh yeah, I guess that is an A.
Although what's interesting is you never seem to see him on the same sources, because I'm seeing him here, and now I'm trying to remember what the source was. I think it was IMDb. Let me see.
Sources.
Matt, you are very indecisive about where your pictures are, man. You're like an ADHD child with the internet right now.
What do you mean?
You're opening the picture, closing the picture, opening the picture.
Right, because
well, you don't want to just sit there, otherwise people are looking forward to staring at
he's showing them to the audience. He's not trying to linger on something.
Okay, I didn't mean to sound like I'm not complaining at all. I'm just the motion just keeps catching my eye.
He played uncredited schoolboy in Remembrance of the Daleks, episode 1, which you can see on IMDb.
Woo.
And interestingly enough, there's no single source that has him listed as both schoolboy and as Cedric. So I'm hoping it's not just two different actors with the same name. I'm hoping it's the same guy, but at the very least, it's different people with the same name. But I think it's the same guy.
It's in other words, it's just the name keeps escaping people at the wrong time, and they don't add 2 and 2 together.
Possibly.
Okay. That could still be a nice little wink, if it's just his name.
If nothing else, it's a nice wink, and I would totally credit them for that.
He's also the nephew of Kate O'Mara, which longer-time fans will know as the Ronnie.
Oh. Ooh, I hope they bring back the Ronnie. I really miss the Ronnie.
I really want that Doctor Who picture with all the doctors on as my wallpaper. I'm sorry. I'm a native. Yeah,
Which one?
Oh,
actually, yeah, I used that for our top episodes picture, actually.
Oh, you bastards. That's a really good picture.
It'll be out of date by New Year's.
It'll be out of date in a couple months.
I can make
like
it
April.
I can make it look like I'm a hipster then. It's like this is an old school Doctor Who picture.
You know, back before it all went to hell.
Cool. Back before it was cool.
Nah, if you're looking for that, you gotta look for one before Christopher Eccleston.
What do you guys think about this secret enemy that they're fighting? I have a feeling it's probably going to pop up in later Destiny of the Doctor episodes. So I'm kind of curious. What do you guys think about it? While we know.
Are you saying that out of real blind curiosity, or are you saying as in I've already read the?
No, I'm saying that wondering how you guys aren't. I'm saying this wondering how you guys aren't talking about it, knowing that we have some secret enemy that we know nothing about.
As far as I was aware, it could have just been the Nazis planted a bomb. That's
definitely
stuff. They even covered it during the episode.
Unless I missed something, Britain was not at war with the Nazis in 1963.
Well,
no, that's what the Nazis were there. They just changed history.
That one bomb was from the Nazis, but they're specifically talking in Hunters of Earth about how they're trying to recruit the Doctor for this war against the secret enemy who's doing psychic experiments.
Yeah, again, my brain does not seem to want to compute right. This is still 1960s, which, why were they bombed?
Okay.
No, the bomb was from the Blitz. But when they kidnapped the Doctor to recruit him, that was for a new war.
Well, that I think was just for something else aside, but I was focusing on the bomb itself.
The bomb was from the Blitz from the 1940s.
Yes, which is why I was saying the Nazis. It's because of the Nazis that the whole thing happened.
But we already know about the Nazis. I'm talking about this new secret enemy that they kidnapped an old man to try and force him to help them fight. I want to know who they are.
I was
Cold War, dude. Cold War.
Just yet because I didn't want to leap into something too quickly. I was wanting to. I'm kind of trying to feel out when y'all are ready to talk about it, but I think it's going to be the future incarnation of the Doctor. Like what is it? The other. Now, what is it? When they make a prediction that the Doctor is going to turn against humanity.
Me?
No, I'm talking to the air. Like, there was a prediction I heard about when my classic Who friends were telling me about it. There's a prediction that the Doctor's last regeneration.
Oh, are you talking about the Valyard?
Yeah, that's it.
The Valyard.
Maybe
that's a complicated story of itself. Again, back to Child of Time Lord.
Do you want to explain it, Matt, or should I?
You go ahead, Bill.
It's basically a what-if scenario created by the Time Lords in order to defeat the Doctor. So it's not actually a real version of him. It's more like if someone took what they thought you were going to be like in the future, except an evil version of it, made it real, and then sent it to fight you and promised to give it the rest of your life energy if it beat you.
So it's like Injustice, Gods Among Us. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry, but I really hope that they pull that in because I really think that would make it a fantastic story if they don't screw it up.
The problem is it made a terrible story, so they're not going to bring it back.
Damn it!
Yeah, Trial of Time Lords was pathetic.
And it's not the concept itself was terrible, it's that the story was terrible.
The concept is really cool. I really like that idea because it's something you would only read in a comic book. I'm aligning with myself so that I can defeat myself. You know, that sounds like something that would happen.
All the previous me's! Charge!
The first three of you use your walkers.
Oh, they didn't need walkers, although the first one did use the cane occasionally.
I want to say, just because they're dead now doesn't mean they need walkers.
But I really hope, that's what I think John Hurt is going to be. I really hope that John Hurt is going to be like the Valyard.
We wish.
Or like the
rumors are that it is a worse idea. But
is it really?
We're going to reserve judgment on that until...
we are going to reserve judgment on that, but the rumor that we have heard is that the John Hurt Doctor is the 8th Doctor.
Not quite. The 8th Doctor...
Dude, that would be so cool.
No, not the 8th Doctor, the 9th Doctor.
Oh, no, it's not the 9th. There was an IGN article where Stephen Moffat said that it is not the 9th Doctor. And by
That's
extension...
bullshit because he's already said it. There's already rumors that he said it is. It comes between the 9th and the 8th Doctor.
Please remember, this is the 9th Doctor. This is the person who specifically stated that every time he does an interview about an upcoming episode, he lies his ass off. So do not quote his interviews because even he has said that they're bullshit.
What a dick! Why do you go to the interviews then?
Because people are going to ask him questions whether he wants to answer or not. So he's saying, I want to keep this a secret. I mean, it makes sense. If people are going to ask you questions about something that you're trying to keep a secret, and they're going to force you to answer, you might as well lie about it, but... Well,
you have to think, then why are you... then we can't believe anything else he's saying.
Exactly!
Yeah. That's the point.
It's one of us tells the truth, the other one lies. From Labyrinth.
Who tells the truth?
Actually, you mentioned Labyrinth, and I will mention to you Journey Quest. They took the exact same idea, only they gave them an idiot knight who then proceeded to kill the one that told the truth and allied himself with the one that's always lying and continued to forge his way through the dungeon.
Welcome to Doctor Who.
I feel like Doctor Who did that plot point as well, but I can't like the two. I don't mean the other thing, but the two.
The one that always tells the truth and the one that always lies?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that once or twice.
I think they did in the 80s, but I don't remember when specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope they go somewhere with that, or that they bring it around so that this can either be, in my head, I imagine it's either being really terrible and boring and a complete crapshoot, or it could be something really memorable. And I am
completely ready and willing to call it a crapshoot because, oh god, it's another Moffat episode.
Oh, you're talking about Dave
I'm talking about the secret enemy thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the secret enemy in this thing?
The one that Matt thinks is the Russians.
Yeah, yes, that's the secret.
Well, the secret enemy, again, it's the Cold War. What do you think they're talking about? It's very easily could be that they're talking about the Cold War.
You'd think they would come out and say it if it was an actual real-world enemy.
At the end of this series, the first Doctor is going to walk up and punch Stalin in the face.
Would it not be worth clapping for? Are you not entertained?
Oh, I was about to do that. Son of a bitch.
Well, dude, the first cover of Captain America had him punching Hitler. Are you not entertained? You punching Hitler!
So, Matt, what's your serious prediction, man? On serious enemy, secret enemy.
On
the secret enemy thing, it could just be a Cold War thing. I honestly have no opinion until maybe something else pops up.
I honestly think we're not going to find out until we listen to The Time Machine, which comes out in November.
And that's a little ways away, isn't it? Until then, we'll keep
hell, it's almost October.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I know I was completely out of left field, but I was thinking about the distance, and I was like, oh, that's not too far.
It's going to be a bit of a wait, but hey, as long as we keep doing an episode a day, we shouldn't be too hurting for it by then.
Yeah, if we do an episode a day, we'll catch up before it comes out. What if we do one
a week? a week.
Please, no, not a day.
Yes, come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow. We will have more bullshit and poor quality entertainment for you.
And we'll talk about the missing episodes of the second Doctor and point them out as you children.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up, but yeah. You guys think anything in particular about the future Doctor returning, or you're going to reserve judgment on that till we see it from that Doctor's point of view?
Future Doctor. Oh, you mean one of the next
Doctors in the radio
is going to come back into time and do the whole radio bit?
I really hope that's the case.
Yeah, I hope they kind of do that.
Now,
because
I would
it'd
point
be nice
out
to have it explained away at some point.
I would point out that that means that the first, 7th, and probably 11th Doctors are all in 1963 around the same time as each other.
Why not?
I kind of like that. I could listen to something.
Bill, we've had crazier. We've had 5 of them all in the same spot at the same time.
Okay,
well,
Bill,
yes, this is
also
true,
to concrete what Matt is saying, we have had the Matt Smith Doctor get shot by his wife while his wife is watching, while he's being shot, while his friend who is pregnant with his wife.
Yes, but my point is that they were all aware of this happening, whereas this would be happening without the Doctor's knowledge.
I'm just saying that there's been some pretty bizarre things that have happened. I don't think it's a far shoot. But I really hope it happens. Because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for characters interacting with each other. I'm a sucker for characters interacting with each other. Like, because I love hearing that personality clash in stories, you know?
Mm-hmm. But and also at the same time, I hope they do it because then it will just be logical and that circular time traveling motion, you know? It would not be complete without one of the Doctors going back and actually doing it.
Hey, Matt, I bring
one of their stories.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying Back to the Future and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So smack off.
That's the best time travel movie ever made. Bill and Ted. Also historically accurate.
Yes, so historically accurate. Yes. By the way, have you ever seen that rubbish NES game? Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I have. Anyway, Bill, I can like hear you having an aneurysm over there over us going off subject again.
Hi, Bill. How are you
doing, Bill?
More going off a subject I'm not particularly interested in, so I'm waiting patiently.
Just over there, hands folded.
It's time travel, and Doctor Who's based on time travel.
Now, Bill and Ted is like a rock and roll movie or something. I watched it like once.
Oh, shut your whore mouth. That is wrong.
Evil monkey points!
Hey, Bill, be forever righteous, man.
I'm sorry, anything that has time travel and Alice Cooper officially gets a pass by me.
Anything that has Neo going, dude, is best. Is the best thing in the world.
Well, he actually used to know how to emote back in the 80s, you know.
Anyway, Bill, as you were saying?
I wasn't saying something. I was patiently waiting while you discussed a movie that I don't know much about.
Oh,
and NES game that I haven't played.
If the people listening send us monies, we will make Bill watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
If it isn't already on Netflix, which it should be.
If it's not, it should be. Everybody needs to see Bill and Ted at least once.
I've at least seen segments, and I've seen chunks of the second one.
Oh, the second one is balls. Don't even bother. It's Bill and Ted Light.
I've also heard that they're planning to do a sequel and actually bring him back, all the guys
That's
back.
never gonna happen. That's never. You can tell me another joke. That's never gonna happen.
I kind of figured it's not gonna happen, but hey, they're talking about it again, so why not?
They've been talking about it since like the 80s. It's not gonna happen.
Anywho, Bill's gone silent on us. Hi, Bill.
Here's another thing. I'm just wondering, do you guys think we'll see any return of the idea of the Germans having psychic bombs, or do you think that's just a one-off thing that we're never going to hear again?
I think that's going to be about like the planes going up into space to fight the Daleks. They're never going to mention it again.
Possibly.
I really think that was
as far as the Nazis are aware, if it was them, as far as they're concerned, it didn't work. Now did it?
True. It didn't work for 20 years, so.
I really think it was just
only worked for about a week.
I really think it was one of those things that they put it on
4 months. 4 months.
On a piece of paper and a hat, and they pulled it out, and they were like, "Here's one of the cool things. Let's throw it in there, see what happens." And they're like, "Okay, there it goes. What's next?"
So essentially, the Nazis were evil version of Aperture Science, is what you're saying.
Yes, without GLaDOS.
Well, I'm talking about Aperture Science before it became only GLaDOS.
Do you understand how much money I would give them if they put GLaDOS in everything? I would give all my monies.
You're a lady from the test. Hi.
Hello, Doctor.
Hello again, Doctor. How are you today?
Oh, that would just nerdgasms everywhere. Huge mess.
Again, we're totally branching off while still trying to keep the Doctor in this somehow.
Hi, Bill.
Hi again, Bill.
Everything I know about GLaDOS comes from Did You Know Gaming or Game Theory.
Oh my god, you never played Portal?
That's changing. If you ever want to talk to me again, that's
I don't
changing.
think it came out.
Dude, it's only it's only like $2. Get
It's
Portal.
$10 on Steam right now.
I don't think it ever came out for PS2.
Get
oh,
PS2.
wah.
God. Bill, here's the thing. You have this thing called Gary's Mod. Portal runs on the same engine, by the way.
Yeah, if you can run Gary's Mod, you can run Portal too. And you will laugh off 10 pounds.
Oh yes. It is so worth your time.
Dude,
Original Portal is worth
gift
your time.
it to
You'll
you.
play through it in like 3 hours.
I will fucking gift it to you. I am that passionate about you
If
playing
you'll finish
Portal
it in 3 hours, it's not worth spending money on for me.
But you won't be spending money. I'll buy it for you.
I will spend that money for you. I don't even have that much money. I will.
If you can finish a game in less than 50 hours, it's not worth being a game to me.
Matt is over there going, dude, I will prostitute myself out just to make sure you get this game.
I don't play
it is
games.
more than it is not even just the time, Bill. It is the fact that it is such a damn good game.
You need to experience. It's something that every person who games needs to experience.
Something about throwing a cube through portals into a hole.
I will end you. If you make fun of Portal 2. This will become a slaughter. Just think of the views.
Speaking of views, hi viewers!
All two of you.
For some reason, these two have no interest in Hunters of Earth. I thought it was good.
No, I'm interested.
Hey, we're not saying that. We've already covered the fact that we really liked it.
Well, you guys have nothing to say about it.
We liked it.
Matt is a bad influence.
How many times can we say that?
Matt is a bad influence, and I need to be moved to the other side of the classroom for him.
So, any comments on it then before we rate it? Since it seems like we're about there.
Are they keeping the same writers throughout the series?
That's a good question.
No, because the guy who wrote this, I forget what his name was. This is the only episode of Destiny that he wrote.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Nigel Robertson. I'm waiting for this picture to load so I can actually read it. You can load any time now, Google Images. Come on.
But I guess any closing comments I would have about about it would be very high quality. The story sounds like it's going to go somewhere really cool. So I really hope they don't do a Stephen Moffat and the snowmen die by you crying.
No, as much as we worry, I would think that Big Finish tends to be a much higher story quality because they have to in order to make up for the lack of visuals, which actually you can write better story without visuals anyways half the time.
The thing with Big Finish is that the only audience they get are people willing to spend money on them, which as a result they generally tend to have very tight writing, and they generally the people working on it are people who are doing it because they love Doctor Who so much that they will come and do an audio only thing for Doctor Who. It's not, people who work in television and are coming there because they work in television, or it's not a show that they can put on BBC and have millions of people watching even when they don't try very hard.
Yeah, I'm going to have to trust you guys on the cloud of this thing, because like I've said several times now, I should probably stop saying it, actually, that I haven't heard these things before. I haven't heard anything from Big Finish before.
Well, that's the thing. I would assume much either. I haven't exactly heard a ton of Big Finish because again, you have to pay for each episode that you have, but I've never heard someone complain about a Big Finish story. I've never, I mean, there are average Doctor Who episodes. Those have people complaining about them. I've never heard someone complain about a Big Finish adventure the way they would an average episode.
Yeah, and the thing is though too is that because of the whole flop over that happened with the Eighth Doctor, because that became not a thing, mostly due to Universal and Fox screwing things up. The rights for such a project for audio went to Big Finish, who took a lot of the decent writers that were still around that still wanted to do Doctor Who, went, hey, you want to make audio adventures and we actually get some of the real Doctors in? Sure! And they went at it, and obviously if you can't perfect within 10 years making a audio-only adventure and not keep an audience, then you're doing something extremely wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean,
logic dictates, yes.
The fact that they've been doing this for almost 15 years, that they have more coming out per month than ever before, and that they managed to get the most popular Doctor of all time working with them, shows that they're doing something right.
Obviously, yes. And it took a long while, but yeah, about a year or two back, Tom Baker finally broke down and went, you know what, fine, let's do it. And he's been on it ever since, so
the only reason they haven't been able to do a Sarah Jane and Tom Baker adventure is because, unfortunately, Elizabeth Sladen passed away before Tom Baker signed on with them.
Yep.
They definitely had plans to.
Oh, they definitely had plans to, and it would have been awesome.
Okay, so here's a little fuel for our fans here, but I know nothing about the Tom Baker Doctor. Clean yourself up, Matt.
The pain.
I'm definitely looking forward to what the rest of this series brings to us, because they're definitely building up towards something. And being that this is from Big Finish, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Nick Briggs wrote anything from it, and I'm trying to see if there's a single person organizing it all, but I'm not seeing such a name if there is such a person. So for all I know, Nick Briggs has nothing to do with any of this, but either way, he's not the only talented writer there. So I'm still looking forward.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these are some pretty decent writers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I would hope so. This is, like y'all said, they don't rely on visuals here. They have to have quality writing and
they've been doing it for almost 15 years, so if they're still around and they're producing more than ever before, obviously they're doing something right with these stories.
Especially if they've been around 15 years and they were around during the MTV era where everybody was addicted to television, so that's saying something.
Doctor Who was never on MTV.
What?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by MTV era.
I think he's talking about the late 80s, early 90s, which I don't think MTV was really a thing in Britain, to be honest.
Yeah, oh, it wasn't?
I don't think so, no. All of that stuff is controlled by the BBC. BBC is the only kind of cable they get.
What I was going for was a joke that everybody was addicted to TV, so they weren't going to listen to audio dramas.
Which I think is to a certain level in Britain,
remember, For the first 6 years of these audio dramas, the only fans they had were people who were massive fans of Doctor Who and had been sitting around waiting for a new episode for 10 years.
And wishing that they would bring it back.
Yeah, so they'd been waiting. The only people they had were people who had been waiting 10 years or more for an episode that never came and were able to spend money on them. And then over time, I mean, in 2005, it became a big thing with youth in Britain again. In basically 2010 is when it finally became a big hit in the United States.
Around the same time as Doctor Who itself, like the show. Is that not when it started taking off?
I'm talking about Doctor Who in general, yeah.
In America.
No. I thought you were talking about just purely the audio dramas.
Big Finish didn't. They essentially did not even have. I mean, they had a tiny American audience before 2010, but essentially there wasn't even an audience for Big Finish to try and get until 2010, at which point they had been doing these audio dramas for over 11 years and were finally having an audience to reach to. And they were obviously doing their job well enough to stick around for that amount of time.
And even with the show back, they're obviously doing well enough to actually still be around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Moffat. And don't get me wrong, I liked Moffat back when he wasn't the head producer of the show.
Oh yeah, he's a competent writer. The problem is, as a head writer, he falls
as a head writer and as a head producer.
I will say that I don't like him. I don't like him writing in any capacity, because his style of writing is.
So you're saying I thought you said you like Silence in the Library.
Not for the writing. I like it for the Ashvata, however you pronounce. I forget however the hell you pronounce the alien species name.
He wrote them.
Did he make them? Like that was not a previously.
That he made
no,
those.
they were brand new creation.
Okay, he gets that.
Like,
he created the angels. He created Weeping Angels.
They might have been Russell's idea. I could not tell you that. You'd have to talk to specifically one of those two people to know whose idea it was.
Trying to think, what else did he create? Family of Blood.
I didn't like that.
The two-parter there.
No, he didn't
create the monsters, but he did rewrite the episode.
He didn't have anything to do with that episode.
I thought he did.
No. Oh. His contributions to the Davies era were he wrote Captain Jack's first two episodes. He wrote the first appearance of the Angels. He wrote Madame de Pompadour's episode, which was mainly Russell's idea, but he was the one who wrote it. And he wrote Silence in the Library.
One more, but I can't think of them either.
Well, no, he wrote one adventure per season, for the 4 years in the Russell T Davies era, and then he took over for season 5. I mean,
I am not a fan of Steven.
There was behind-the-scenes work that nobody's going to know about except for people that were actually there. Essentially, I mean, if you go off of
hang on for a second.
Confidential, you get the idea that he was essentially in command.
Hey, hang on 1 second, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah. We have a lot of AFK going on in this episode, too.
Yes, I would. Just leave it out there,
But, as you were saying, Bill?
Other than...
Sorry, folks. Dinner is happening.
Other than behind-the-scenes things that nobody's really going to know the extent of, those were his 4 contributions to the Russell T Davies era.
I mean, it's just a thing with me. I'm not a fan of theatricals over practicality, I guess I would call it, because the perfect example of what I don't like is the Christmas special episode with the snowman and Clara. The ending of that episode is basically the children cried and the happiness killed them, or the sadness killed them rather.
Yeah, I will that. That is pinpoint, blatant Moffat bullshit hand-waviness.
Also, all the Deus Ex Machinas.
That's kind also a lot of them are lately Moffat.
I will argue that that's a Doctor Who thing. That happens in a lot of Doctor Who.
There are a couple of Deus Exes during even Russell T Davies' era, but they were nowhere near as bad as the Moffat eras.
I don't know about that.
I will say that David Tennant had a couple, but it seems like the David Tennant era, not David Tennant himself, like he made the show. But there were a couple I can think of off the top of my head that were real, just like, oh, well, that came out of nowhere. But it seems like every episode I can think of right now, I'll probably be proven wrong, but that I can think of with Stephen Moffat heading it, it's like everything's just gone to shit. Oh, no, it's good. It's all good. Everything's fine.
No. Seriously though, what was the most hand-wavy thing that Russell T Davies ever did? He maybe had Rose look into the heart of TARDIS once. Okay.
But I like that.
That was probably his biggest bull moment.
That still wasn't a Deus Ex Machina, because that was hinted at the rest of the entire his
Magic
first.
Doctor.
He was hinted at it a couple episodes sooner.
Magic Doctor.
The end of
Genius
season
Donna?
2, that was actually hinted at from the beginning of the story, which is a two-parter.
By the way.
The Doctor is Jesus.
Okay, yes.
Well, why isn't he? He's every kind of wizard throughout Earth's history, so why not?
The world prays and the Doctor comes to life. That's not a Deus Ex Machina.
That, again, Deus Ex, yes, but it was something that they were actually hinting at the entire season.
That people would pray and the Doctor would come back?
No, the whole mind control thing and what they used to do the Deus Ex has been hinted at the entire episode, the entire season through. The whole Saxton
thing
was
the reason I just gave a huge middle finger to the 7th series is the one where he gets shot by his wife that I mentioned earlier in the astronaut suit.
That was in the 6th series.
That's 6th series, yeah.
My bad. But what it really pisses me off, because it's like, this is when I die. Nah, not really. I'm just kind of in a metal suit of me. That really pissed me off to just the umpteenth.
Yeah, see, that's the season where I never watched the second half. I got to the Doctor's Wife and went, you know what? The rest of this season, I can already see it going to hell. This is the best this season is ever going to get. I'm not going to watch the rest of it.
That was the low point to me. The point where I almost stopped watching.
I actually did stop watching Doctor Who after the Doctor's Wife because I really liked that episode. I'm just like, you know what? The rest of it's going to suck. And I started watching again only because we started doing the show.
You're saying Neil Gaiman was your low point?
Did Neil Gaiman make that episode?
Yes.
I am disappointed in Neil Gaiman then. That was a complete middle finger. It completely diffused.
No. You're talking about the season ender. No, we're talking about the Doctor's Wife, the middle of the season.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, in the middle of the season when I saw the Doctor's Wife, I'm like, this is the best it's going to get. Because I can already see the rest of the season going to shit from here, so smack it, dropping it.
Getting out while it's good.
Getting out while it's good, and on a high note, no less. Because I know the rest of it's going to be low note.
But I just knew from the season ender that from that point on, I can't trust any built-up tension because they're going to do something cool and then everything's just going to go. They're just going to press a hard reset with the Deus Ex Machina and everything's fine at the end.
Speaking of built-up tension, before we lose what remaining audience, let's go for our ratings and then we can continue this off the air maybe.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Right.
For the sake of you that we love.
One last comment I've got to say. We are finally, when we get to the 9th episode of Destiny, we're finally going to get an adventure with both Jack and Rose as companions, which we haven't really gotten unless you count the one that took place in London that Jack was barely a part of.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that because they're two of my favorite companions with one of my top 5 doctors. So.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be an awesome episode.
I concur.
So since Eli, since you're new to the first Doctor, want to be the first to give your rating out of 5 for this episode?
Out of 5?
Yeah, we usually do ratings out of 5.
That's tough because I really want to give it a. I'd give it a 4. Give it a 4 out of 5. I love the technicals of it and the quality of it. I just don't think it was the perfect thing. Something in it just didn't click for me completely.
I'm actually going to agree with that. It doesn't have that extra kick of if they had done a full cast thing and really replaced Hartnell, I could see it having the potential. But it would also have had to pay off on its own, which it doesn't. It builds up for something else to pay off. So
exactly, it's baby steps. It's baby steps, not a huge explosion.
It's a setup for something else later. So it's not going to be that 5 on its own, but it does qualify for the 4. I agree with you.
Though I will say it is a very strong 4 because I really enjoyed this. And if you're at all thinking about getting this by listening to this, please do because it is entirely worth your time. It just didn't, like, it was nothing that I would go, holy crap, I have to go out there and tell people about.
So, Bill, how about you next?
That's what I was saying. I agree with his rating.
Okay. Well, Bill agrees with his rating. I will agree with that rating as well.
Okay.
Yes, 3 is the average. 3, I consider 3 to be run-of-the-mill, middle of the road. 4, definitely a 4. This is above average. This is a pretty darn good episode. It does need a little something before we would ever reach 5, but it definitely has a very good groundwork, and is by no means is it bad. It's a 4. It's a 4 out of 5. It just doesn't have that extra tweaking that could have pushed this, like extra voice actors, a person who could actually do the first Doctor and do it well.
And I would mention this
completely blown it out of the water.
I would mention this is effectively the pilot episode of a show. I mean, Destiny of the Doctor as a brand new spin-off thing. This is the first of it.
Yeah, this is also the first of a foothold in a spin-off. Yeah. Yeah,
generally you don't expect the pilot of a new series to be a 5. So this is basically one of those good setup, good first episode type of deals, and it does its job exactly the way it needs to. That
absolutely.
To give this some nerds some perspective here, this is the Walking Dead Season 3 Episode 1 pilot. Like, for the startup, it's that good. It gets the Walking Dead Season 3 Episode 1 stamp of approval. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking now.
I need to watch Walking Dead, I admit this. I have a shirt and everything. I don't know why
Skip the first season. Skip the first season.
Really?
I don't like it.
I'm a zombie fan, so I'll still watch it anyways.
Then you're a bitch.
It's interesting, because from what I heard is that it goes downhill and becomes repetitive after the first season.
And for me, the first episode is really good. It's very strong. Second episode sucks. No, and I mean it sucks. The third episode made me literally wonder how far back we really are in terms of racial profiling on television. Because it must have set Mexicans back like 50 years. I swear to God.
There goes and on that note, good night, everybody.
But no, I'm being very serious about this. I'm not making a joke. Like, the way they portray this generic Mexican in the third episode is almost borderline offensive.
And yes, we're way off topic of Doctor Who, which is why I'm saying yes. Good night, everybody. But yes, still a very good episode. Goodbye.